So unfortunately, the owner brought this thing here because he thought it just needed a carb clean. Well, come to find out, we're gonna have to tear the engine down. Never a good way to start out the story, but anyways, this is a 1988 Honda fourtrax 300. A ton of people love these old Honda fourtraxes, and with good reason. They're very simple design, usually pretty bulletproof, and they're just small, they fit in areas. This one's only a two-wheel drive, but they made them in four-wheel drive versions too. I actually got a couple of these that I need to repair, but I'll show you what's going on with this. Man, we're getting some rain after that snow, kind of sucks. Makes for a very sloppy mess around here. It's pretty slushy, and as you could expect, two-wheel drive machine doesn't go very good in this stuff. So let me show you why he brought it here, and she does run. This was actually a surprise machine. I didn't know I was getting this machine. He ended up bringing a couple Honda Rincons up, and we didn't talk about this one. He just loaded it on his trailer and dropped it off to me, which is fine. He said he went through the carburetor and it ran better, but it's still not quite perfect, and it's definitely not quite perfect. But I found some other issues. But anyways, let's go ahead and fire it up. I'll show you what's going on. As I was saying, this is a 1988. So she's fairly old, but it's in pretty decent shape for the year. Obviously, the fenders, I don't know if you can see that. You know, from far away, it looks pretty decent. You get up close, and they're all bubbled up, and it's been painted. They got some rivets in here, but overall, it's not bad. What I found surprising was looking inside this gas tank, because it is clean, and it's a little hard to see. Which these steel tanks will stay clean as long as you keep fuel in them. What happens is when these things sit around and there's no fuel in them, they end up rusting pretty badly. So we'll turn the ignition on, hit the button. Oh, it actually just fired. I wonder if I got a loose connection in here. It started right up when I drove it over here. No airbox lid. Oh yeah, that's probably not helping things. There we go. Definitely going to need an airbox lid, otherwise you're not going to run quite right unless we jet it a little richer. But, nope. There goes that. Choke it. There we go. So as you can hear, engine's nice and quiet. Sounds pretty good. Sounds really good, actually. So it'll run all day long, a little high revved because it's choked right now. But if we unchoke it, well, it's taking throttle there. So let's try to run this thing. Hear it cutting out a little bit. Shift her up into gear. Just a little boggy. Does seem to be running pretty decent, but it's actually taking a lot more throttle than before. It was wasn't idling at all, and it was very boggy. So it's not bad right now, surprisingly. Road's a little slick, as you can see. It's a little high revving. Almost seems like it's not getting quite enough fuel. Honestly, that could be just the airbox being off of there. It needs a little extra fuel. So I can ask him if he wants me to throw an airbox lid on it or rejet it to the proper jetting. But let me show you why I said the engine has to come apart. Probably gonna die here in a second. There we go. Let's come down here. You can see a little bit of oil leaking out of here. That's not huge though. But what I found was down here. I cleaned it up just to make sure. And this is a puddle of oil. And it's leaking from the base gasket right in the back. Completely dry up this way, but down there, definitely leaking oil. See right there, it should fire right up, but it's not quite getting enough fuel, so if we just choke it. She's not gonna run. There we go. Definitely needs a little tuning. I did just wash all that old oil off. I'll let it run for a little bit longer, and I'll show you how much oil is actually coming out of that base gasket. Just trying to make my way back to the garage with this thing, and this slush. This stuff is hard to go in with that Honda. Need four-wheel drive, or a better set of tires on the back of this thing. Come on, girl. Now that I got it in here and got it warmed up, you can hear what she's doing. She's idled up too high. And it was idled good before. Choke it, she actually idled down. Might be getting too much fuel. Trying to see if I can pinpoint that oil leak. See, the idling is just all over the place. Oh, tank's not even bolted down. Well, let's go ahead and remove that. Shut this off first. See if the shutoff works. You can see that oil pulling up right there. Like I said, I washed this too, just to see if I could pinpoint it. That's all fresh oil. It's got to be coming out of that base gasket. Certainly have some leaks up by like the valve cover here a little bit. Definitely losing some oil right there, either from the head cover or the valve cover. Gonna blow all the crap out of there and then run it again to see. Alright, so as you can see, went ahead, cleaned it all up, so there's no oil other than maybe on that crankcase gasket a little bit. But there's no oil around the base gasket at all, so we're going to fire it up now, and then we'll watch for any leaks. Just looking around some more, it actually looks like it's leaking on the head gasket as well. See that? That's certainly not a good place to be leaking. If we are leaking through the base gasket, the head gasket, wherever, that could certainly contribute to this thing not running 100%. So I'm going to start it up. I just want to see where the leak's coming from. Maybe it's dripping down from the head and dripping down onto that base gasket. I don't know. But I'll throw the gas tank on here, fire it up, let it run for a little while, and then recheck it. Either way, I really think this is going to benefit from pulling it all apart and resealing everything. Alright, so I had this outside running for probably about 10 minutes. And you can see the oil is starting to seep down right there. Let's see if I can get closer up. Looks like it's coming from right there. Talked to the owner about the oil leaking out. He said go ahead and install a new top end kit. I got one right here, so let's get to work. The amount of time we're going to debate whether to do this or not, it'd probably be just as easy to go ahead and do it. It really doesn't take a long time on these. Pull the seat off. Gas tank's already unhooked. Pull this off again. Go ahead and get that out of there. Even if we weren't doing this top end reseal, we were going to have to pull the air box to get the carburetor off. Well, technically you don't have to pull the air box, just easier. Only 2 bolts here. Clamp on this side, and pop this mount off. Then should be able to squeeze this out of there. There we go, just like that. And we'll pull the carburetor off. Pull the throttle cable off. Get that choke out of there. Slide that out. I like to pull that choke plunger in so nothing falls out on any of these machines. Air vent, and then this can come right off of there. I'm going to plug the intake. I'm just going to clean off all the dirt here. 1988. Definitely going to want to spray some WD-40 on those exhaust studs. And we'll just hope and pray. Actually coming out pretty good. Most of the times the stud will come out instead of just pulling the nut off. Stud's coming out with it, which is fine. There we go. Now we'll hope this side comes off just as good. Oh, yeah, that one's on there. But it broke free. Came out of there, but it's actually stuck in the flange. Now you don't actually see this too often. This whole pipe is one piece. The muffler and the head pipe. Everything's one piece. It doesn't come apart. So we'll pull these. And the one under here. And there's one under here that I can't get with my impact, but I can get it with my ratchet. Ooh. There's that one. Still stuck in there? Nah, it's coming out. There we go. A little rusty though. Sneak this thing out the back. Yeah, it's a little tough to sneak out. I don't feel like pulling the tire or the fender, so I'll leave it right there. But just to show you that it is one piece. Like I said, a lot of them are not like this. Factory weld there, all the way up to the head pipe. She does got a couple of holes in her. Pretty solid other than right there. Must have had some water in it at one time. Now we go ahead and pull these oil lines. These Honda fourtrax 300s are air cooled, so you don't have to worry about any coolant. All we got is this oil line that pumps up into the top end here. Pull that off. Go ahead and remove this top motor mount. Alright, there's that. No rubber mounts on these old girls. That's why you certainly feel a little more vibration on these old machines versus the new ones. Alright, we can go ahead and start disassembling this top end now. But I will blow it off again because I can see some more dirt probably under that mount. You can see down here where it's been leaking oil. Alright, so now we want to set this on top dead center. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this inspection port out of here. that. And we'll pull the spark plug. And while we pull this, we can check if it's running rich or lean. I'm thinking it's going to be a lean condition, but we'll find out. Definitely a new plug. That's certainly a rich condition. I banged it when I pulled it out of there a little bit, but pretty black. Definitely running rich. At this point, I'll pull both the valve covers off so I can see what's going on when I turn it over. There's the cap. Whew. Now for the intake. Get that one out of there. So now, because we got the kickstart, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over, get the plug out. I'll watch that intake valve drop. So it's opening up, then it's closing. Now we're going to come down here and we're going to look for the T. There's an F. There's the T. You want to line that T up with that mark right there. And now we're going to be on top dead center. While I got it on top dead center, I just want to check the valves. We're going to have to recheck them and probably adjust them once we get it all back together. But I want to see where they're at right now. They should be 6/1000ths both sides. This one, the intake feels a little tight. I'm going to try 4, see how it is. Let's see, 5/1000ths. 5 fits in there, probably is 6. So the intake is good. The exhaust feels a little on the loose side. I don't know. I'm going to check. We'll go with 8 thou, see how that is. I can fit 8/1000ths in there. It's pretty tight. I might be able to get a 9. So I actually got a 10 under there, but it's pretty tight. I'd say it's 9/1000ths, the exhaust. Yeah, that was 0.010. Now you certainly don't have to put it on top dead center to tear this apart, but I like putting it on top dead center to check my valve clearance. We know there's no tension on the valves right now. We'll go ahead and pull our time and chain tensioner now. There we go. Alright, now we can just remove all these bolts. Get these out of the way. Alright, now we can go ahead and pull all these out. Yes, they are all different sizes. Now we can come in here and pry up. Get that side removed. As far as the camshaft right here, you can see our lines right there are lined up because we are on top dead center. And then that little dot up top marks the top. So we'll go ahead and pull this off. Get that cam out. Now we can come in here and loosen up our 6 cylinder head bolts. There's 2. Go ahead and get those out right now. Don't want to lose our copper washers. You know what, that bolt, that cap bolt right there, that thing was loose. I didn't even put any pressure on this, and it loosened right up. Probably why the head gasket was leaking here. Well, let's check the other ones. We got one right here. That one had a little resistance to it. I said 6 bolts, I meant 7 bolts. Now we got these two outside ones. Oh yeah, that one's got some torque to it. Ooh, there we go. And this one, yeah. So they all seem tight, other than that one. That one was definitely not torque proper. Alright, the cylinder head should pop off right now. Come in between these fins, put a little pressure. Not a lot. You don't want to break anything. But lift it up very easily. So we know we got all the bolts. Beautiful. Pull the head gasket out first. Trying to see where it was leaking. Awfully oily back here, and the coatings wore off. Definitely looked like it was leaking there. Timing chain guide. Now I just got a couple of 8mm holding the cylinder down. Them out of there. And then this should pop right off. Alrighty. Sneak that out of there. You can see just a lot of oil around this. Honestly, the cylinder looks pretty good. That piston is still in very good shape. Top of the piston, definitely got some carbon buildup on it. You can see it's a little discolored right there. Yeah, so I mean, everything's in pretty good shape on this thing. Cylinder looks pretty good. The cylinder head looks pretty good. I am going to tear this apart and change the valve seals. But, I mean, it was expected to look pretty good because the thing didn't smoke at all out the tailpipe. It did smoke while the oil was dripping on the exhaust because it had the leaks. But we're going to go ahead and reseal this thing. Like I said, I'll pull the valves. It's only a 2-valve. Only takes a second to change out these valve seals. This is a new valve compressor I just got. It's a lot faster because you can just squeeze it down instead of clamping the whole thing. Pretty nice. Pop that out. Valves look pretty good. I'll clean them up a little bit. Get these old valve seals there. Definitely, these things are hard and dry. Man, just pulling them off, they ripped. They're just so brittle. Look at that. I mean, it's kind of kept the shape I squished it into. These are very, very old valve seals. Same thing with that one. Very old, very brittle. So if we look at the cylinder head, you can see this discoloration right here. And we have definitely oil seepage. And it's dry on top. So it's certainly coming from this area, which if we flip this over, this is how it was on the machine over here. Just that machine is like this. This is how the cylinder was. This cylinder head nut is the one that was very, very loose. Like, no pressure at all to take that off. So that would make sense why it should be leaking in this area. So I'm going to clean all this up. Probably lap these valves because they're looking pretty dirty. clean up all this old gasket material, install a new gasket, put it back on the machine, and this old Honda should run better. We were probably losing a little compression out of that as well. I never did feel if I could feel any air through there, but if it was seeping oil out of that cylinder head, it had to have lost some compression. Okay, get the surface all cleaned up here. Time for a new base gasket. Time to drop our cylinder down on, get it all lubed up inside. Get that on there. Go ahead and get these cylinder bolts started a little bit. Now we gotta grab our timing chain, lift her up, so we can get our timing chain guide set into place right there. Go ahead and get our new head gasket on. Force cylinder head. Beautiful. And then one of the most important things to torque down is your cylinder head bolts. These, always check your manual, but my manual is telling me these bolts are 18 foot-pounds, and then the cap nuts are 29 foot-pounds. I should have checked that to begin with, especially when I saw that the nut wasn't tightened. For some reason, I was just thinking somebody had loosened it, didn't tighten it up when they put the engine together or whatnot. Unfortunately, that was not the case because I could not torque that nut down. Tried to torque it down to 29 foot-pounds like the others. It wouldn't go. It just keeps spinning. It's stripped out, and it's not the nut that's stripped, and it's not the top threads. So it's either broke down bottom or stripped out or something. So it's got to come back off. Fun, fun, fun. Alright, well, I got it back off. Let's see what's going on here. Put a nut on here. Use that cap nut. Alright, let's see if we can pull this stud out of there and see what's going on. She's coming. So the threads are stripped in the casing. Wonderful. It can never just be something simple. Alright, so we're going to install a helicoil. I got a tap right now. I went ahead and drilled that out with a 13/32 drill bit. I believe that's what it was anyways. And now we're going to tap this to accept the helicoil. So you want to start nice and straight. She's going in good. See, we got some new threads in there now. I do want to clean out all the debris. These are the coils right here that'll bring it back to a M10 by 1.25. Thread that into this little tool. You can see that tool has a lip there, so it's going to catch this edge, and that's how it's going to tighten that up. To get it all the way installed, you need to break off that little tab in there. As you can see, we have nice threads now. You can use these things with bolts, studs, whatever you want. I'm going to Loctite it because I don't really want the stud coming out. Alrighty. Go ahead and tighten that up. Beautiful. Alrighty, now we can get back to reassembling everything. Okay, moment of truth. I torqued them down to 20 foot-pounds. We're going to go ahead and 29. Start with this one. There's that. I'm going to leave the best for last. There's that one. There's that one. And the one that we need to go. Beautiful. Go ahead, double check them all. Beautiful. Torque these Allen heads to 18. Nice. Tighten the little guys up. Well, that was quite a bit of work just to torque a head down. Unfortunately, I should have caught that ahead of time. I should have checked it before I even loosened it up. Once I noticed it was loose, I should have checked to see if I could torque it right there. Obviously, I didn't. It's over with now. So now I can finish putting this thing back together. As you can see, we got it timed properly. Got a thin bead of Yama Bond on there. Now we're going to throw her together. Bolts are very important to torque down as well, because if you over torque them, they're going to actually put more pressure on your cam, because your cam actually rides in this housing. So the 3 bolts that take an 8mm socket, those get torqued down to 7 foot-pounds, and then, yeah, there's 3 of them, and then there's, I think, 10 of the bolts that take a 10mm socket, those get torqued down to 9 foot-pounds. Definitely got a new gasket on the timing chain tensioner. It looked like the old one was leaking, so we certainly wanted a new one on there. Alright, went ahead, adjusted the valves to 006, both sides, intake and exhaust. So we're good there now. New O-rings on our valve covers here. Come on over and get these on. Alright, so getting there. I haven't put the exhaust on yet. I put the intake on with a new O-ring, but I'm going to turn this over. So oil comes out of here like I was saying, and it goes up and it feeds this top end. So we're going to turn this over a little bit. Still got a plug out of it. There's the oil. Alright. You don't have to do that. I was just trying to get it somewhat close before I put my oil line on. Certainly want to make sure you have all your copper washers in there, and make sure everything's clean before you put it back together. And we can go ahead and tighten it up. Snug that. I'm going to leave this one loose so I can pump the oil up into this, let the air out. Okay, We got some oil seeping out now. Tighten that down. Now that I got the oil pumped to the top end, I'm going to go ahead and put a new plug in. This is the old one, remember? Very black, running rich. Probably nothing wrong with the plug. But these things are only a few dollars, so we might as well put a new one in. Now that is certainly not the case with all Hondas. You get up into the Honda dirt bikes and a lot of the newer Honda four-wheelers, they run a special plug and it's like 20, 30 bucks sometimes for a spark plug. This right here, these old ones, these are like $3. Might even be able to get them a little cheaper than that. New exhaust on it before we put our exhaust back on. Alright, now we're going to get into this carburetor and see what's going on with it. See if maybe there's some gunk in there. Wrong size jets. Pull off. A little gunk in there. Pop the main jet out. That looks good. Pilot. That looks pretty good too. Let's see what we got. A 42 on here, and the main jet is a 120. All right, that is factory jetting. I checked. 120 is factory for the main, and then they ran two different sizes on the pilots, probably depending on where you are, but they ran a 40 and a 42. So it's factory jetting. So that shouldn't be our issue. I'll check. Let's see how far they had the fuel screw out. We got a half, one, about 1 1/4, but we'll fool around that when we get it on the machine a little bit more. I'm going to set it to 1 1/2. Oops. The needle is set right in the center, so that's good. That stuff looks good, so I'm just going to clean everything up here, throw it back in the machine, we'll fire it up. I do want to change the oil on it, but I want it to warm up so it drains out easy. And then I'll throw some new oil in it and should be good to go. Alright, we're getting everything back together. Get the carburetor on there, get everything routed, well, sort of. But remember I said it was running really rich, looking at that spark plug. Yet we have no air filter lid. We're running stock jetting. So what was going on? I think I might have just found it. So I went to hook this up and I was like, I better blow through that and make sure I'm getting air, to make sure I'm venting good. And I can't blow through it at all. And this is an air vent for the carburetor right there. So if this is plugged, we're not going to get the right air into that carb. So we got to see what's going on with this. I ended up hooking my blowgun to the air compressor to it and put 110 pounds, and it blew whatever was in there right out. Can blow right into that carburetor now. We're going to route this back up here. Yeah, reserve is up. All right. First fire up since the reseal. I have to go out back and grab a airbox lid if I got one. I think I do. Nice. Little oil, little smoke, because I oiled up that cylinder. This thing didn't smoke at all. That should clear up in a minute here. Get this old girl out of here and try her out. Well, I was about to take this thing out of here, but I went to slide this over to get it out the door, and I noticed there's an awful lot of movement on that tire. What's going on there? The castle nut is loose, so that's not torqued right. And I just came on this side to look. This one feels good. This is tight, but we are missing a stud there. I mean, not the stud, but the nut on that back tire. So I guess we got to fix that. It's getting a little smoky in here. And we'll go ahead and torque this. And we might as well get this old oil drained out. Get some fresh stuff in it before our little ride. Get the oil filter out of there as well. Yeah, that's been in there for a few days. A new one in there. Fill her up with some Honda oil. Okay, I got the rear wheel so it won't fall off now. Got the oil changed. The rear wheel wouldn't have fell off because it was there was a key in there, but it's not good for it to be that loose, flopping around in there. Fresh oil change. We're ready to try this thing out. This has been a pretty long video anyways because it was just quite a bit to do, but I know a lot of you are probably wanting a little more in-depth videos of me going through the machines a little bit better, like some of the stuff I just skipped over or didn't video. Well, I did that because this is not my machine. This machine's been here quite a while. He's had all his machines here quite a while. It was supposed to be like 4 weeks and I'd have all of them done. Well, it ended up being more, I don't know, it's probably been 2 months now at least. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not fast. I gotta say that. I'm not fast. So if you bring anything to me, do not expect it to be done soon. I hate to say that, but you know, some of the quick jobs I do get done, but some of the more involved ones they take a long time, and I try to get this and that done, and I was supposed to get this thing done way before these, but you know, this guy's kind of wanting his stuff back, and I don't blame him. But when I get caught up, get onto my own stuff, I'll definitely go more in depth in these videos. For now, let's go take this thing for a ride. All right, we'll see how this thing goes here. You can see it's cooled down since the beginning of this video. Unfortunately, we're a few days before I even, a few days after I started working on this thing. But it is very cold today. Get a little more snow. Oh yeah, I was gonna come over and see if I have an airbox lid for this thing. Like I said, I got a few fourtraxes here. Parts machine. Hey, that one does have an airbox lid, don't it? This one I don't think does. Try not to break it. A little cold on the fingers. And she's froze up. There we go. Should be the same. Get on there. Oh, I think we're gonna have to mess around with that air fuel screw once we get this on here. Alright, so I got this thing set to 1.5. Try to bring it out some. Should be pretty good there. Let's hop on and try it out. Much smoother idle. I think I'm at about 2 turns or so. Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know where we'll be able to go. It did crust up pretty good from the rain, so we'll try to go right out in the field here. Moving. Nice. Yeah, she sounds pretty good. Surprisingly, this is a 1988 Honda fourtrax 300. Pretty much any of those 1988 Honda or fourtrax, usually you never have brakes. This thing, the brakes work. Back ones work. You really got to push down, but usually they don't work at all. to get this thing warmed up in good shape, make sure we don't have any leaks. Yeah, we can go much better today, even for a two-wheel drive. Oh yeah. There's not a lot of water, but it'll probably be okay if we take it easy. I don't want anything to freeze up on this thing, yeah, because it is cold out. It's I don't know, it's probably under 10 degrees anyways. Oh, come on, girl. Lean back a little further. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Yeah, she sounds pretty healthy. Oh, she don't want that gear. Spinning. Doing some heavy spinning. These little machines, they're just, I don't know, they're fun to drive. Nowadays, this size machine would be considered a kid's machine, but I don't know. Something about hopping on here, this one's two-wheel drive, but you can just pick a point you want to go, because for one, super narrow, pretty short machine, you can fit in a lot of places. Nowadays, these big behemoth of machines are just, you can't fit them in anywhere. If you do try to break trail with them, well, you're playing with a $10,000 to $20,000 machine, whatever you got. So you don't want to break it, you know. Something like this. For one, steel tank. Obviously, the plastics they'll break. They're plastic, but you got a full steel bumper, racks. New machines don't even come with anything. The rear is pretty susceptible underneath, but what are you going to break, really? The exhaust, maybe? Yeah. Something about these old machines that I really enjoy driving. Don't get me wrong, I love new machines, but they are so much money. Yeah, we got a good cross spot. We are still gonna sink out of sight here. That's not smoke, that's just steam from tire spinning. Uh-oh. Yeah, I've done a lot of this in my day, pushing, especially on my old Yamaha Moto 4 200. Come on, girl. Let's get you back on the trail. Running way better, just a little on the low idle side. Alright. Send this thing back down the hill. Do a little more tuning to it. And should be good to go. Like I was saying, I would go more in depth with these machines, but the owners want their machines back. I don't blame them. But these videos just take so long to do, you know, between actually videoing it and then, you know, putting it all together at the end like I'm gonna have to do here in a minute and posting it so you guys can see it. I don't know, it does take a long time. Takes a lot of time anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I like doing it, but I don't like being rushed on the machines I'm working on, you know. And one of the things is, a lot of the customers that I got, they do want a video of their machines. They get to see it being worked on. But I obviously don't charge the real hours of me doing it, because it does add to the time of the repair. So I'm not going to charge full amount of hours when it probably takes double the time for me to actually video while I'm videoing and working on the machines. It's just how it goes. Definitely don't like it. I do like it, but I don't like, sometimes I don't like being rushed is the thing. But anyways, yeah. This old machine, she's a good one. Even two-wheel drive, you can cruise around here. Expect to be pushing here and there, but these old fourtrax has got a low first gear. That's first gear. Alright. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would if you'd be so kind to tap that like button, that would be great. If not, that's fine too. And I'll catch you in the next one.